Hey, Alicia. It's good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you too.
Thank you for having us over. I understand this house is kind of a work in progress, but it's here now.
It is here now. Would you like to come in and I could show you around for a bit? So this first room is our living room. The whole first floor we actually gutted and started from scratch. The living room used to have a wall and it was so tiny and tight. This is the room that was probably the easiest to figure out what we wanted to do with the architect, and then we really needed to put our thinking caps on with the rest of the first floor.
So you lived in Barrington until 2019, right? So what made you decide to come to Rumford?
Well, my husband had been commuting to Boston from Barrington for about 25 years and had done it unflinchingly. But once the last kid graduated from high school, Rumford seemed like a natural transition to sort of ease his commute. And we knew we wanted to downsize into sort of the next phase of Lifehouse, and we knew Rumford was where we wanted to do that.
That's smart, yeah. So you still serve the East Bay in your work, though. What do you love about the East Bay?
I'm obsessed with the water. I love living near the water, by the water, on the water.
So what was the house like before you gutted and rebuilt it?
It was quite different. I don't think the house had had any substantial work done on it since it was initially built in the 60s. This kitchen, while this was a kitchen, if you look at the before pictures, you wouldn't actually know this is the same house. There was a lot of work and time that went into designing this space.
The fridge is always the soul of the kitchen. So what item do you always have in the fridge there?
So I always have at least 4 mustards and probably at least 2 jars of something that's either expired or past its best use date.
Well, we all do the best we can. Since this is your aging in place home, if you will, what thoughts went into that in terms of the design?
We wanted to make sure that there was adequate space to sort of navigate, so in case there was a walking aid or something, you wouldn't be held up by a sharp corner or not enough space to actually get around. So in the dining room, for instance, we widened this doorway and we kept the design in here on the minimal side.
All right, well, let's learn a little bit more about you. What are the names of your dogs and why did you choose those names?
So we have 2 dogs. We have Lulu, who is a Shih Tzu, which is a teacup Chihuahua and teacup poodle. And her name is Lulu because she is very clearly a Princess Lulu. We also have a lab who is named Lonnie. She is my retired mobility assistance dog. And the people who make the largest donation for the acquisition of the dog, the training, and everything that goes into getting her internationally certified, they have the honor of choosing the names.
So what's your favorite object in the house?
So my favorite object is actually in the primary suite. Why don't I show you that? So this is actually a piece of art that we picked up in a Munich Christmas market. And we picked it up because at the time, a big part of our kids' nightly routine was this book called The Napping House. And this picture just sort of evoked us and our family life and where we were at that moment. And it's always hung in our primary bedroom ever since then. And it makes me smile every single morning.
Munich, I understand, is just the beginning of all your moves with your family. I mean, I gather there was South Carolina, right? Asia, Europe. What were the hardest parts of those major kinds of transitions?
I think the hardest parts are without a doubt the goodbyes. You're always saying goodbye to someone that you either already love or that you've grown to love. And it's just getting used to the fact that life is just full of constant changes, and they're not bad and they're not good, they're just changes, and just getting comfortable with hellos and goodbyes.
So you were a mortgage lender before you were a realtor. What did you like about that role?
I loved helping people attain their dream of home ownership. I definitely saw myself as sort of a teacher and guide to take some of the stress out of it and to navigate some of those pathways for them. I've met loads of interesting people through my work. One that stands out was a gentleman who came in looking for a mortgage after I had already taken a position with the high net worth clients at Bank of Boston, and I was not supposed to be originating mortgages anymore. But he looked cute, and so I took his mortgage application and got it through. sort of undercover, and now we've been married for 30 years, so it worked out.
A surprise ending, yeah. So speaking of family, can you show us to your family room? Now, Alicia, you've seen a lot of houses. Have you ever seen a ghost?
We actually had a ghost that lived with us in Munich. It was a very benevolent ghost. It would go into wherever room there was a sick kid and sort of comfort that child. So this is our family room. Talk about renovation. This room almost caused us not to buy the house. When we bought the house, this room was not accessible actually from the house. We knew we needed a family room and a space for everybody to gather. That was not the living room. We're used to having a family room, and we really wanted something that would be multi-purpose.
Now that you're a realtor, a successful one, modesty aside, what's the last thing that you did that really went above and beyond for a client?
I had clients that had trusted me to sell their very large family home and help them downsize into a newly constructed property. And we had closed on the first home in the morning, and that was pretty emotional. And then they were getting ready to close on their new home, and there was a snafu with the builder, and they were not able to close that day. And all of a sudden, they were homeless with an older cat and no place to put their belongings. And fortunately, I had access to a family home in Narragansett that was fully furnished and not being used at the time, and I was able to just let them stay there for a week until we could iron out all the wrinkles. So.
Yeah, that's definitely a couple extra miles. So when you're not helping clients, what part of this house do you love spending the most time?
Oh, the patio, without a doubt. It is absolutely, it's one of my favorite places. Let me show you.
So tell us about this backyard.
Oh my gosh. So when we bought the house, there really wasn't a backyard to speak of. There were 20 trees that ranged from 18 feet to over 25 feet high. We actually had a tree and an excavation company here for almost 2 weeks, just clearing the land. We just really wanted a patio. Outdoor space is just a big part of who we are as a family. And with this fireplace, which actually was repurposed from the creepy family room, we're out here well into the late fall, early winter.
Actually, speaking of weather, let's do a little lightning round right now of questions, okay? Let's start with, it's the start of summer right now. What's something you can't wait to do to kick it off?
I still have not had blount clam cakes or chowder or my inaugural scoop from the Daily Scoop. So that has got to happen sooner rather than later.
And what flavor?
Oh, coffee Oreo with chocolate sprinkles.
Excellent. And if you could be a famous person for a week, who would you want to be and why?
Ina Garten, because I think she really strives to make everyone she knows happy and comfortable.
And what's your favorite activity outside of work?
I really like everything. I like Pilates, I like knitting, I love pickleball, I love eating, I love cooking.
What's your signature crowd-pleasing dish?
My mother-in-law's chocolate cake recipe that is just always a crowd pleaser. And Shay, I've made it in cupcake form, so I have to scoot, but I'd love for you to take one for the road.
Oh, well, what a sweet finish to our time together. Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you.